Hello and welcome to CoreNet Global's Corporate Real Estate Week 2021 Quick Hit Session. This session's on portfolio right-sizing and the sort of data we could be tracking and how we could operationalize the results of that data. My name's Daniel Smith and I've been working in the technology industry for over 20 years. I started off in accountancy software and quickly grew into corporate real estate software as well. For over 17 years now, I've been working with organizations much like your own to identify business needs and align technology-based solutions to resolve those business needs, delivering real value add and return on investment to the organization. In today's world, we have many and varied factors influencing us individually and collectively. Like a butterfly's wings flapping on one side of the world, we on our side can feel the impact without really knowing what the source was. The trouble is that there are far too many butterflies, and it isn't just butterflies that are impacting us. Often we focus on the pool that we occupy and the influencing factors upon it. So like drops of rain causing ripples on our pond, these influencing factors can pull us in various directions. And these factors can conflate with each other to form new influences that we feel the effects of. So again, how do we pay attention to all of these and take appropriate action? Like raindrops on our pond, these influencing factors are many and varied, and these aren't all of them. I've just picked some that I thought of immediately. Lease accounting over the last few years has been a large one. So IFRS 16 and ASC 842 influencing how we think about the leases that we have and the portfolio in general. Do we want to reduce the size of our portfolio to lessen the impact on the balance sheet? Do we want to look at shorter term leases so individually they have a smaller impact on our balance sheets? Do we have a changing business purpose? Perhaps we're expanding in one area and contracting in another. Perhaps we're looking to the people in our organization and looking at how we can attract and retain the best and brightest talent and offer people an experience inside the building that affects the changing culture that we have in our industry. And is it technology influencing culture or culture influencing technology? And have the two conflated to provide us with the sort of way that organizations have to respond to the people in our businesses today? And of course, an overarching narrative that we've all sat with for our entire lives is the climate change issue. And the issue that's facing us there will long outlive the pandemic that we're currently sitting in. So with all of these factors at play and the immediacy of some of the issues at hand, it's incredibly tempting to focus right down on the issues that are right in front of us. COVID-19, for example, and how we deal with that. And sometimes that's the appropriate response. But often we need to ensure that our lens is kept wide, because otherwise we'll miss some very important information and factors that we need to be taking into account. It's been a good time to be a journalist focusing on the real estate industry right now. Stories are awash with organizations like Salesforce, KPMG and Nestle, BP and Goldman Sachs, all interpreting the factors that are influencing their world and responding the way they see fit. That could be reducing the overall portfolio. That could be moving to something like a hub and spoke approach with a central building offering co-working space and collaboration areas with perhaps regional offices that allow individuals to work close to home, but not in the home, the way that we've all been forced to over the last year or so. It could be that organizations are restacking and refurbishing space to make them fit for this new purpose that they envisage. And it could be that we're all going back to the workspace very much like it was before, because we need to be at our desks working alongside our colleagues in order to collaborate on the tasks that we have in our particular roles. Evidently, there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution to the problems that we face in our industry. So I wanted to reach out to some industry experts to get their opinion and see if I'm missing something. The first person I reached out to was Bangia, CEO of Verum Consulting. Vic has a wealth of knowledge working with organizations just like yourselves, so I thought it'd be great to get his input.
Hey, thanks, Daniel. From my perspective, there's a huge risk of making decisions using either poor quality data or based on market forces alone. In fact, it's quite worrisome to see some companies already making these sort of knee-jerk reactions when the future isn't fully charted out yet. My concern is that they'll either regret their decision financially or their decision is a complete mismatch to their company's culture. My suggestion to my corporate real estate clients is to make sure that there's truth in the data. And that requires your company's business strategy to be aligned with input from your employees. Your company's corporate culture should therefore be a significant factor in the decision making, because employee behavior, as well as an appreciation of their concerns, their physical and psychological safety, their mental health and well-being, their willingness and desire to commute, and your company's cultural capacity for remote work should be major factors. You know, I often talk about the employees having a form of post-traumatic stress disorder based on the experiences and events of 2020. And now that we're seeing the arrival of a vaccine and starting to imagine the future of work, that's even more important. So the formula is a combination of internal benchmark data, external market data, cultural and employee direct feedback, and business strategy. And what I see is a shift. Companies moving from a more vertical, downtown, CBD type presence to a more horizontal one, perhaps suburban, perhaps even in a different geographical location altogether. A de-densification of spaces, an increase in collaborative space, the use of third-party co-working spaces for either flexibility or as a middle ground, and certainly a hybrid model overall. But what's astounding is seeing companies make decisions with far-reaching implications so early in the post-COVID recovery environment, because we all know that those are single-lens, poor data quality decisions when what's needed is a multi-lens, kaleidoscope-style approach. So my advice to you, if you're a corporate real estate leader, is to realize that you have time. You have time. There are tools, technologies, and industry experts who can help you. And don't ignore the ones that will help you the most, your employees. Thanks for the opportunity to provide my feedback. Daniel, now back to you.
Thanks very much, Vic. It's amazing how much information and knowledge Vic has. And to be able to condense some of it into the time that we had available today was amazing. But you could really talk to Vic for hours and you'd be enthralled for the entire time. I also wanted to reach out to another industry expert, a colleague that I've worked with quite extensively over the last couple of years. That's Francisco Acoba over at Deloitte. Francisco has a wealth of experience implementing technology solutions for organizations just like yours, dealing with the challenges that you and we all face today.
Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate that. Now, it's a great topic to highlight. And what we're seeing right now is that individuals who are planning for the corporate real estate portfolio post-COVID, at this point, they don't have the data that's required to do so in many cases. People haven't been in the office, obviously, for the past year plus, and the patterns of usage and utilization are yet to be determined. How people will be using the office for collaboration, individual work, etc. All of these things are still areas that need to be understood and addressed. So what we're recommending to people is, as your population is beginning to return to the workplace, make sure that you put in the right processes and protocols, and in many cases, potentially technology, leveraging IoT and sensor tech and so forth, to be able to gather data on actual use and utilization. What types of spaces are being used? What spaces are being reserved? Where is their light usage? What types of activities are being undertaken at the office? What type of technology is being used when people do go back and are collaborating virtually with colleagues who are in other offices, working from home, etc. Having this data set is going to be very important because it will allow you to then make them data-driven decisions relative to the portfolio post-COVID. And then when you're making decisions around, potentially reducing space, reallocating space or demand across your portfolio, and so forth, you'll be able to do so from a strong data lens. Daniel, back to you.
Thanks very much, Francisco. And it was fantastic again that you could share some of your knowledge with us today. And again, if anybody wants to know more, I'm sure Vic and Francisco would be more than happy to engage in conversations as well. So I think that what we're hearing and finding out for ourselves is that we need to be taking as many factors as possible into consideration when making decisions. Culture, business objectives, lease data, staff and building consumer behavior, maintenance obligations, costs. They're all important, and we need to be combining these in order to make informed decisions. But knowing this is the easy part. We need technology to enable us to source the data. We need technology to provide the central hub in which to store and combine that data and help us make sense of it. We need technology to allow us to operationalize the decisions that we make and ensure that the results that we're expecting are delivered. Technology is at the heart of all of this. So in conclusion, I think it's clear that we could say that the one constant in life is change. And that's also true of the workplace. Things have and always will change. And as with all things, we and our workplaces are constantly under simultaneous pressure from a myriad of sources. The causes are not always easy to determine, but the effects can be seen and felt. The workplace is a human construct designed by humans for humans. And as with humans, the only way to ensure enduring fitness for purpose of the workplace is to be agile and flexible. And the only way to achieve this is to constantly prepare. So a sort of keeping the mind quick, the muscles strong and the joints supple, bending, not breaking, strength through flexibility. So how do we prepare for this flexibility? I've sort of had a thought of 5 things here. They might seem a bit corny, but I thought it sort of summed it up fairly well. You have to have the right mindset. That seems to be clear. You have to be open to new ideas and new purposes. You have to be courageous and curious. You have to be prepared to get it wrong. You have to be prepared to learn, and you have to be cognizant of your need to be cognizant. Then I'd also say measure, 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 and add some more measure for good measure. You can't manage what you don't measure. And so technology more than ever enables us to deal with measurement and interpretation of those measurements. Measuring enables us to understand, and understanding enables us to truly make informed decisions. Improving the speed from stimuli to decision provides an evolutionary advantage. And then back to that bending, don't break concept. We need to be flexible, agile, and have robust mechanisms and systems in place. Integrated technology allows us to operationalize our decisions more quickly, disseminate ideas, communicate ways of working, and control methodologies. Deciding to change must be paired with your ability to affect that change, and speed of action, the right action, is key. We have to be prepared to learn from our mistakes as well as from our successes. You can only understand if you've succeeded if you're able to meaningfully measure the impact of your decisions and your actions. Again, measure, 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 and measure again. And then finally, you have to be prepared to be the change. I think understanding that there should be a change is just the beginning. You have to be prepared to implement that change and be ready for the next change after that. You have to take what you've learned, adjust, measure, analyze, and improve. You have to think outside the box and think outside the traditional office. And at the heart of all of this are people and technology. And technology is the enabler that's allowing us to improve the way our buildings are performing for the organization and improve the way they're performing for the people that are using them. So thank you very much for joining us in the talk. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to talk to myself or some of my colleagues about the content of today's talk, then please get in touch, realestate@trimble.com, or go through the website at realestate.trimble.com, or contact me through LinkedIn. The details are there on the screen, and I look forward to being able to talk to you and your colleagues.